sell ourselves short. I believe that we are all capable of way more than we give ourselves credit for. Okay, because you just saw in that video, and I went to the Olympics, and I almost didn't go there. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I almost didn't even try. Because I grew up in Prince Edward Island, right here on the East Coast, just like you guys. But here's the thing. I didn't grow up with people around me training to go to the Olympics, right? There weren't people around me training to represent our country. So I always thought Olympians, they were just TV people. Not everyday normal people like I thought I was. I also grew up in a very academic family. So I just played sports for fun. I pursued a career and a master's degree in occupational therapy. But, thank you. But I didn't start training for sports and taking it seriously until I was 27 years old. When I was suddenly faced with the challenge of seeing if I could make the national bobsled team and compete in the Olympic Games, which were in less than 5 months. 5 months. It was then when I realized I'm motivated by challenges. Is it likely that someone with my background, starting a new sport at the age of 27 and never having lifted weights before, would eventually compete in 4 Olympic Games and win 2 Olympic gold medals? No. Highly unlikely. But here's the thing I want you all to remember. Highly unlikely does not mean impossible. Each and every one of you has dreams and goals. And over the last number of years, when I talk to different groups and work with different companies, I have come to realize that the qualities it takes to be successful as an athlete are the same qualities it takes to be successful in achieving any kind of goal. It's the qualities it takes to successfully manage change, face challenges, and overcome the obstacles that will inevitably pop up along the way. Chances are you will not be the only ones facing whatever challenges you're facing. But my question to you is, will you be the one who gets stopped by it, or will you be the one who gets motivated by it? That is the question. Will you get motivated by it? Because it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you live. If you don't embrace challenges and pursue your dreams and own your story, then you will never discover what you're truly capable of. And in my case, when I did that, in my case, it resulted in these. Yes. Now I've got to tell you, winning these did not come without facing challenges along the way. I had to deal with broken bones. I had to deal with having a couple of hip surgeries. I had to deal with people who just didn't believe in my goals, didn't believe in my dreams. Do you know what else I had to deal with? I also had to deal with my own excuses in my head. Right? Let me tell you something. Just the other day, I was at a book signing. No. That's okay. Just the other day, I was at a book signing, and I was signing my book for somebody. And this gentleman, he was asking me, he was just admiring Olympians and how dedicated and driven they were, how unwavering they were to their training. And his question for me was, did I ever have days where I just didn't want to train? Now, I'm sure none of you have ever had a day where you just didn't want to go to school. It's our little secret. But I told him, in response to that question, I told him the story about when I was visiting my parents in PEI in the summer of 2009, getting ready for the Vancouver Olympics. And I was, like a typical Olympian, training every day very diligently. But this one day in the summer, I just didn't want to go to the gym. I just didn't want to train. I wanted to have a normal, lazy summer day. But I went anyway. Drove to the gym, walked up the stairs, reached for the door, and the door was locked. And then there was a sign on the door that said closed for the holiday. So I spun around with the biggest smile on my face, walked back to the car, drove home, probably singing the wrong lyrics to whatever song was playing. Walked into the house, I kicked off my shoes, walked into the family room, flopped down on the couch, picked up the remote control for the TV, and just as I was sinking into the couch cushions, you know that feeling when you're just kind of melting into the right spot? At that very moment, a vision popped into my head. And all I could see was that girl who was fighting for my spot. Now, she lived in Toronto. Gyms don't close for holidays in Toronto. So I knew she'd be training. So I got up off the couch, walked to the back hallway, started putting my shoes on, and I was just heading out the door when my mother came around the corner and she said, "Where are you going? I thought you said the gym was closed." I said, "I know, but I'll just go up the street to the school." She said, "Well, Heather, if the gym is closed for the holiday, the school is certainly going to be closed for the holiday." I said, I know, but I'll find something. I did my entire upper body workout on the playground equipment at that school. Now, it's not the same workout I would have done had I been in an actual gym. Now, it's not the same workout I would have done had I been in a real gym, but I did something. I wasn't going to let the fact that I was in a small town and the gyms were not available, I wasn't going to let that stop me from pursuing the goals that I really wanted. I left that playground just knowing that I was doing everything I could, that I just had to get a little bit creative, which is what most people need to do to overcome their goals. I also left that playground realizing that excuses really are everywhere, and that we really are capable of way more than we give ourselves credit for. That includes our ability to impact the people around us and to make a difference in the world. There are so many different ways that we can make a difference. In 2002, I lived in Trinidad and Tobago, and I created a sports leadership development camp for kids who are deaf and hearing impaired from various islands around the Caribbean. In 2016, I summited the highest mountain in Antarctica to raise awareness for post-traumatic stress disorder and to help our Canadian military transition back into society. In 2017, I decided 6 months before the Olympics in Pyeongchang to return to compete in those games just under one condition, that I would only go back to push a rookie. You see, I wasn't motivated by the idea of just going back to see if I could win a third Olympic medal, but I was motivated by the idea of potentially helping someone else win their first. It wasn't about the push. It was about impact. It was about empowering somebody else to achieve their goals. And just recently, I just released my first book called Redefining Realistic. And that it's written specifically for you to help you overcome the challenges or the things you're facing in order to help you achieve the goals that you want for yourselves and to fulfill your potential and to not sell yourself short in what you are capable of. Now, making any kind of impact, making a difference in the world does not have to be grand and big gestures and monumental events like climbing a mountain or writing a book. It can be the simplest of things. It could be holding the door open for a stranger. It can be writing a note of inspiration to someone who's maybe going through a tough time. It can be volunteering in your schools or in your communities. You have the power to inspire, motivate, and impact the people around you, not by money or gifts, although those can be nice, but by your choices, by the words you use and the actions you take. You have the power. You get to choose what kind of role model you want to be. So I invite you to be fueled and motivated by challenges like I am, to inspire those around you by living an inspired life, to not put a limit on your potential or the potential impact you could have on the people around you, on your schools, and on your communities. So in closing, although everyone can use a little bit of luck, I want to wish you courage. Courage to stand up for what's right and to do what's important to you. I wish for you perspective to constantly redefine what we've been told is realistic and to see all the possibilities that exist within your circumstance. I wish for you perseverance, resiliency, and creativity to think outside the box, to overcome the obstacles that will inevitably pop up along the way to achieving whatever it is you want to achieve. But most of all, I wish for you the belief, the pure belief, that we are all capable of way more than we give ourselves credit for. Why? Because like I said earlier, highly unlikely does not mean impossible. Thanks very much for having me, you guys. Have a great day.